Hi there, this is my second video in my new series called A Crushed Spirit. And if you remember, I did a video about what I think the first stage is if you're experiencing a season of a crushed spirit. And what I mean by that is when you're feeling broken, you're feeling that despair, you're feeling that it can sometimes go into kind of a more suicidal thoughts, but not always. A crushed spirit is just when you feel crushed, you feel broken. And anybody that has experienced it will know immediately what I'm talking about when I talk about this experience of a crushed spirit. The human spirit can endure in sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear? In my last video, I talked about the importance of acknowledging that you're feeling crushed and broken and wounded, and the importance of kind of acknowledging that to yourself and then hopefully other people, and finding people to validate your struggle and help you find a way through. But the second step in my own experience, which helps kind of the journey out of this season of a crushed spirit, is acceptance. And acceptance on many levels, but accepting the circumstances that you find yourself in, accepting that life has changed, letting go of what you thought life should look like. And to start that off, I wanted to talk about something called the Serenity Prayer, which is often used in recovery programs like Alcoholics Anonymous and other things. But it's a great prayer about how we need to find acceptance of the things we can't control, but changing the things we can control, and understanding and having the wisdom to know the difference. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time. I really love this prayer, and it's really helped me over recent years. I even love the word serenity, and the dictionary says serenity is the quality of being peaceful and calm. And who of us don't want to feel peace and calm? And the trouble is, that's almost like the opposite of when you're in a season of a crushed spirit that brings kind of that anxiety and that despair, and often a mind that is out of control, a mind that's snowballed. But if we can find that serenity again, we'll begin to find more peace and more calm and more joy. And that's my own experience. But as this Serenity Prayer says, one of the first steps of that is accepting what I cannot change. Accepting the circumstances I find myself in that I can't change. For me, that's particularly my illnesses. I can manage them, I can try and get help for them, but I can't change it. And there's been a lot of angst and battle in my life, especially early on in my illnesses, or particularly around the time of relapses, of fighting against it. And often I've had seasons of just saying, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be ill, like this stubbornness rising up in me. I don't want to be like this. This is not who I'm meant to be. I don't want to be ill. But it doesn't achieve anything, because the reality of each day is I am. And if I try and live like I'm not, I just get more and more ill. And for me, I have gone through multiple relapses and also mental and physical breakdowns. And some of those have been through seasons of striving to try and live more normally when my body wasn't able to do that. And so acceptance of what I cannot change, accepting the illnesses and learning to work with them and manage them better has been a key. The prayer goes on to talk about courage to change what I can. So in acceptance of what I can't change, there are things I can change. I could change my attitude, I could change my mindset, I could change my lifestyle, I could change the way I lived and the way I dealt with things. I could cut back on things, I could change what I did. And that can be a real grieving process of both accepting what we can't change and changing what we need to kind of make life more manageable. And the grieving process is part of this season of a crushed spirit. You have to go through that. But as you go through that grieving process and acceptance comes, and in the grieving you resist acceptance, but slowly the acceptance comes. If we can accept, we can move forward. It goes on to say and talk about the wisdom to know the difference, and this is such a key and a big part of my prayer to God is give me wisdom to know what I can change and what I can't change, acceptance in what I can't change, and courage to change what I can, so that I can live one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time. And that's another key thing I've had to learn to do, to enjoy and be present and engaged in that moment. And that's a bit of at the moment, it's very fashionable kind of mindfulness and being present in the moment and present kind of awareness and enjoying the moment. And yet for me, there's another dimension to it. And I love the scripture, therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And there's a quote linked to this by Corrie ten Boom that says, worry does not empty tomorrow of its sorrow, it empties today of its strength. And as we know, those of us that have gone through a season of a crushed spirit, it's hard enough to get through today. It's hard enough to have the strength to get through today. And I often, when I'm talking to people or counselling people on a pastoral level, kind of from church or linked to church, I often tell people, and I have to remind myself too, that we only have the strength and the grace to deal with today. If we try and deal with tomorrow with today's strength, then we will run out of strength. And it's the same in kind of facing and dealing with the past. I don't believe that in enjoying and being present and trying to focus on today that we ignore the past. I actually think processing the trauma, processing the pain, processing and accepting what's happened yesterday is a part of us moving into today and into tomorrow with wholeness and health. So I believe it's healthy to be able to process and go back over the past, but in a place of accepting we can't change the past now. We can only work on changing what we can today and changing things so that we can move into the future in a more healthy way. And as I will go on to speak about in future videos, that can bring more purpose and more in the letting go of the life we thought we wanted to live. We can find a new purpose and a new way forward and a new way of living, despite the limitations, despite the grief, and despite the trauma of our past.